Hi, my name is Ross Brouse. I'm Chief Operating Officer of SolarVPS, and I wanted to take a few minutes to talk about a new technology that we have in our VPS management system called SolarRay, which is our server monitoring and uptime software. Obviously, with any hosted service, downtime is a concern, and downtime happens with any hosted service. Obviously, we hope it's as little as possible, but knowing when that downtime occurs and being constantly in the know about what's going on is very, very important. Obviously, there are a lot of commercial services that exist out there for clients they can use, but what we wanted to do was provide a service that was fully integrated with the management experience. So when a customer becomes a customer of SolarVPS, they have all of the tools at their disposal for monitoring and uptime right within their VPS management platform portal. The way it exists today is that customers have the ability to purchase monitoring for their service, and a lot of this monitoring is actually complimentary. And what that means is you have the ability to configure various monitors for your SolarVPS machines. It could be monitoring a website, it could be monitoring your mail server, it could be monitoring just basic ICMP to know if the server is responding or not. And it's designed to keep you constantly in the know through various types of notifications, such as email and SMS. One of the most important things, obviously, is knowing that your server's down and knowing knowing right away that it's gone down. And the most popular way to tell people that is by shooting them an email. One of the things that I've found with a lot of commercial offerings out there is that the email that you get isn't exactly straightforward in what it's telling you. And what we've designed is the ability to make it as simple as possible to let the customer know what's going on, when it happened, and when it's resolved. And we put that leverage in the hands of the customer by allowing them to determine how they want to be notified. So for example, you can create a monitor inside of the system and say, I want to monitor my mail server, and I want to monitor that mail server every 2 minutes. And if it fails, if the check fails, I have the ability to check again before I shoot off a monitor. I could check a third time before I shoot, a notification. I could check a third time before I shoot off a notification. And then it gives me the ability to set how frequently I want to receive those notifications and how many notifications I want to receive. So for example, I can say, let me know the second time that monitor fails. Then I want to know every 15 minutes. And I want it to send that to me an unlimited number of times. Or I could say I only want to receive 50 notifications or 10 notifications. So I have the ability to really decide how and when I want to receive those notifications. Other types of services I've seen, if you're monitoring every 2 minutes, is going to shoot you an email every 2 minutes. And that can be not exactly helpful. You know that the service is down. You can log into the web portal and see that the service is down. What I want to get is maybe a frequent notification to let me know that service is down, but I don't necessarily need one every 2 minutes. And then of course when it comes back up, and we also make that notification very straightforward. This is the service that's been resolved. It was down for X period of time, and these are the dates and times that everything took place. And that's the same that's replicated in the SMS notifications as well. So customers do have the ability to go in and buy SMS credits, which is pretty standard for a service like this, and notify them at their various cellular provider that these events are taking place, both down and up notifications. Exactly, and making it really simple. It doesn't have to be a lot of junk inside of it. Mail server, this is the service, it's down, here's the time. I really don't need to know more than that. I want to know what went down, and I want to know when. When it comes back up, I want to know what came back up, when, and how long it was down. Then I want the ability to log into my portal, of course, see a graph, see those events, when they took place, all of that good stuff. So when these types of events are taking place, we keep track of everything that's going on, obviously. So if a service goes down, there's a log created for that. And in fact, there's actually a log created every time a check occurs. It discards most of that information because from an uptime monitoring perspective, I really only want to know when my service is not up. So we record those events, we make them searchable in our database. You can search between 2 dates, you can search time, so I want to know all the downtime I've had that was longer than 15 minutes. And I can see all of those events in the logs. I can see how long everything was down for, what the service was that was down, and then I can of course see a graph as well that shows me when these events took place between those 2 date periods. So it's really important that the customers have the ability to really go in and have some accountability from what took place and know that that happened. It's really not good enough to just have an email in your inbox that says this is what happened. You need the ability to go back and audit that information. When it comes to reporting to your superiors, or let's say you're offering a hosted service yourself on our network and you want to be able to report to your customers any downtime that may have existed, or you just want to come back to us and say, listen, there was a networking event, I was down for an hour, I would like a SLA credit based upon what took place there, which is perfectly fine. And so it gives them the ability to have that type of information regardless of who they have to report to or what they need to do with that data. From time to time there are downtime anomalies. Say for example you have your monitoring server and your service, and some pop in between those 2 endpoints on the network goes down. Say you're monitoring all of your New York services from California and a fiber pop in Chicago goes down. That doesn't necessarily mean that your service is actually down or that there's anything that you can do about it. So what multiple locations really alleviates are those types of anomalies. So I can set up, for example, to monitor first from California, then from Miami, then from London. And I have generally different network paths that I'm taking from each one of those separate locations. So what I can say is, I want to monitor first from California. My mail server's down. All right, California, tell Miami you're next. Now Miami does a check to see if it's down. If it's still down and I've configured to do a 3rd check, it'll pass it off to London. London will do a check. If all 3 nodes have failed, we know that it's really down. It's not just some network anomaly. And 3 is the limit at this point that you can configure just to keep the application as efficient as possible. But it really helps to alleviate those types of errors so that you're not getting all kinds of false positives and freaking out for no reason, that your service is down.
Essentially, it acts as a fail-safe measure.
Yes. Yeah, so we've been in development of this software for quite a while now, and we wanted to make it so that our hardware footprint that it took to really deploy it was as small as possible. If software is written inefficiently or poorly, it doesn't function well. It uses massive amounts of CPU power, RAM, and of course that all translates to heat and power in the data center. And since we run our own data center, these types of things are very important to us. So we wanted to make that as efficient as possible. The way the scan engine is written today is that every separate process that runs is able to handle more than 100,000 checks per minute. And we're looking to increase that exponentially as well as we continue to develop the software. So every minute we have the ability to go out and do 100,000 of these checks on a single process. And then of course thread additional processes if we need to scale beyond those numbers. And then we have different reports that are set up to allow us to know how many checks we're doing per minute so that we have the ability to grow that software as necessary or change its architecture to take on the additional load as time goes on.
And it's also, it allows for efficient use of hardware, is that correct also?
Yeah, it's, you could build this platform out with 10 servers that it takes to run all of it, and eventually it could scale to that level. But we want to make sure that each node that acts as a scanning node is as efficient as possible and isn't requiring us to needlessly throw hardware at it simply because a poor job was done in coding the software. So we've really taken a lot of time to make sure that it runs as efficiently as it possibly can. Yeah, so one of the biggest things that we're working on right now is having insight into what's actually going on in a customer's server. This is RAM usage, disk usage, server load, disk I/O, having the ability to really know what's going on and fire off notifications for a specific customer's VM. So it's not just about whether the server's up or down, it's about how well the server's actually performing, and is that performance exceeding certain or performance degradation exceeding certain thresholds inside of the customer server. So that's one of the things that we're working on. Another one is the ability to do proactive support. So basically what happens is, if you've purchased this service from us, which is sort of an add-on to SolarRay, we have the ability to see everything that's going on with your service, and in the event that a service goes down and you've authorized us to do so, we can go in and restore that problem, fix that problem and restore that service without you having to contact us, which is really nice for a lot of customers because it gives them peace of mind. Smaller shops, they may go on vacation, they may just be sleeping in the middle of the night. Our NOC will get those reports and have the ability to step in and then just fire off a report to the customer that says, hey, this is what took place and we fixed it for you, which will translate to higher customer retention, just an overall happier customer base when they leverage that service. We hope to, at some point, be able to bring in people from external networks. Today, SolarRay is designed to just monitor the services you have with SolarVPS, but we do have on the roadmap plans to expand that outside of our network once we feel that the software is working as efficiently as it can, and we've put in the sort of performance checks and audit checks that we need to really make sure that we can take on customers from the greater mass to scan whatever network they choose. Well, I've used a lot of hosted services over the years, dedicated, cloud, shared, and one of the things that I never really found much of was that integrated monitoring solution. And that's just been a big gripe of mine overall, is that I want a fully unified system that gives me everything that I need right there. I don't want to have to buy third-party services. I don't want to have to go to this guy or that guy to make my service whole, to give me everything that I need. And so what we're really trying to do as we cater to businesses and end users is give them all of those capabilities right in one nice, easy-to-use panel. And that's really what the idea behind SolarRay was that real critical thing that you needed, which was monitoring your server's uptime, built right into your portal.